access. Members of the public may participate in this meeting at the City of Lancaster City Hall chambers or telephonically. This meeting will also be streamed live on Channel 28 in the city's website. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioners Cullen, Deloche,
Present.
Hone, Joseph, Pope,
Present.
Commissioners Cullen, Vice Chair Carter, Vice Chair Carter, I do see that you're in attendance, but I do not hear you.
Secretary, it was hard to hear you say Cullen. You may want to repeat.
Okay, we're going to start from the beginning. Commissioners Cullen, Deloche,
Present.
Hone, Joseph, Pope,
Present.
Vice Chair Carter,
Present.
Chairman Cannon.
Here, and honorary member CJ is here too.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I move to excuse Commissioner Hone from this meeting. Do I have a second?
I second.
We actually
Okay, it's been moved. Go ahead.
we actually have 3 commissioners not in attendance.
It was Commissioner Hone that let us know beforehand that she would not be in attendance.
Understood.
So it's been moved and seconded. Can we have a vote, please?
Commissioner Deloche,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Vice Chair Carter,
Aye.
Chairman Cannon,
Aye.
and it passes unanimously.
Thank you. Agenda items to be removed. Sometimes it is necessary to remove items from the agenda. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause you due to scheduling conflicts. Presentation from LA County will not take place. Today we will be receiving presentation from, actually, we will not be receiving that presentation. Sorry guys, I'm trying to go off the script, but because there was a scheduling mix up, and I look forward to setting up a meeting where they can come out and let us know about their new county initiative. Consent calendar, are there any speakers for the consent calendar?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on item CC1, please press *9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press *9 at this time. There are no speakers.
I think CJ had public comment on the minutes. Anything there? No? All right, moving on. Is there a motion and a second for the approval of the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioners Deloche,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Vice Chair Carter,
Aye.
Chairman Cannon.
Aye.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you. Continued business. I want to take this time to update everybody on the timeline of our equity report. Today, I want to talk about the budget, or if we're going to have a budget, and if we were to recommend that this commission have a budget, what that would look like. Before we get into it, I just want to let everybody know that between now and November and in December, between now and November, we will be finalizing the wording in our equity report. And I will be getting you guys all a document that we have. I'm still editing it, but you guys will get that pretty soon. But I do want to talk about today, before we finalize that, a budget, because I do want to present the equity report to the city council, whether it be in a January meeting or a February meeting. I know that some commissioners have talked about it and have come to me about it. And I want to know if anybody, and right now I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, just know that. And I just know that some commissioners have been talking about it. Some of them are not present today, but that's okay. And just to brainstorm about what kind of dollar amount, if we were to ask for a budget, what would we ask for? And if you don't have a dollar amount in mind, if you think that we should be allotted, if we should have a budget, then where would that go to do what exactly? More specifically, I'll go first. I did think about this, and I was thinking about how could we do events where people could come out, and that whether it be something like, I don't know, a fair or something like that, but really make it a purpose to get people registered to vote, with a voter registration drive to rival all voter registration drives. Something like that, where not only where just people can come get registered to vote, but where they can come and be neighbors. You know, we do concerts all the time. We do Monday night bites and stuff like that all the time. So I was thinking something like that. And I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't think about a dollar amount. See, that's what happens when you fall out. I didn't think about a dollar amount. But for me, when I thought about getting people registered to vote, I was thinking in the context, before I started thinking in the context of how could we do this ourselves with a budget, I was thinking in the context, how could we go and tag on to Monday Night Bites or to a concert or to one of the parks events and have a voter registration booth. But if we could have something where, you know, we can get people to come out, you know, from local organizations, or if we can get people to, even our city officials, to come out and say, hey, there's an election coming up, it's important to be registered to vote, and somehow be able to make that a social equity commission event. So that's what I was thinking in the context of a budget, what we would be spending our money, what we would be spending money on. Do I think there's a way to do things like that without a budget? Yes, I do. But if we were to use a budget and put together something like that and use a budget, that's something that I would want to spend money on, is getting people registered to vote. And now I just would open up the floor. So, go ahead, Commissioner Pope.
Okay, so I think this was like last year. I remember talking with someone, and they had said that the priorities that a group or organization has is reflected in their budget. And so they called the budget that they were trying to pass a moral document, because I believe that, and they also believed at the time, that like budgets speak volumes about our values. And so whatever we are prioritizing, that is indicated through our budget. Now, personally, I do not have a dollar amount in mind for this specifically, just because I have not given it much thought. But I do know that when we look back to our vision statement and our mission statement, I think that if we start from the drawing board and we really think about like the types of things that we want to be able to do in Lancaster and in the Valley in general, then I think just like looking at it from that lens, looking at this budget from that lens, I think will be particularly helpful, because I believe it'll help guide us in exactly what our priorities are. I think it'll make it crystal clear what our priorities are.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, and I'll even say that the city's proposed budget that has already been brought to the city council is a moral document, and it's in line not just with where city's going, but where we would like to see money being spent. And so for me, I thought that in the context of a budget, when I say a budget, I feel like the budget has already been made, right? There's already been a moral document, but there are things in there where we could use like, hey, this money was already set aside for Parks and Rec, you know, for parks events and stuff like that, and we would like to get in on that. for lack of a better term. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. Budgets are a moral document, and if this commission were to request a budget, it will be probably the first commission to request a budget. So, are there any other commissioners that would like to comment on that?
I'm just wondering if we can, okay, if we're gonna request a budget, how do we understand how much money we need or want to ask for without understanding what our actual programs are and what kind of goals we have, our strategies, because when you start looking at it, the way I see it, once we know what we're going to do, and we really need to map those out and look at what types of projects, basically strategies that will take us to our goals, help us to meet the goals of our 3 key areas. That's when we have to look at that in order to even start trying to determine how much money we need in a budget. I mean, we can ask for anything, but if we just throw a number out there, it may not suffice or fit what we actually really need. We need to, I think, examine what we are trying to do, know what we're going to do, have that all mapped out, and from there you start looking at the costs, and then you start asking for the money to meet those costs. That would be just my step. That would be my process. So I think I'll just say that we need to at least do some sort of process and really thinking of what we are trying to do before we just ask for a budget. That's my take. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Vice Chair. No, I couldn't agree more, and I've told folks this too. Like, we've got to know what we're going to be spending our money on, right? I know that in the beginning we've been gathering data, and we've been pretty much immersing ourselves as commissioners in this new role on how we could bring our perspectives and to the fold. And I think that's why in the equity report, at the end, and you'll see this, it's important that we let them know, like, okay, this is what our recommendations were, this is what we've done, this is what we plan to do in the future, so that hopefully if we are going to and we don't have to make that decision in this meeting, if we are going to request a budget, we would say, well, this is where we're going in the future, this is where we would like to go. For example, we could say that we would like the city council's direction to create a working group on how we can, a working group full of homeowners or landlords, on how we could create something, a program for young people to be able to to know how to apply for an apartment, so that they could bypass the rental history barrier. And something, that program could be created, right? And we could come up with that working group, and then we could go back to the city council and be like, okay, this is what we came up with. This is how much this is going to cost. And that may or may not be in the first equity report because we haven't gotten that far yet. So yes, I definitely agree with you, Vice Chair. We need to map out exactly what we're going to do, how much it's going to cost. So we're not just asking for money. That's the last thing I want to do, is just be like, hey, give us $10,000. What are you going to do? Well, no one wants to give $10,000. And you know how that goes. So
yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Chairman Cannon, I had a question. So I heard you say that we would be the first committee or commission to ask for a budget or to have a budget. Is that true? Is that a thing that commissions don't normally get budgets?
When I did the research, I could not find a commission agenda or a city council agenda where a budget was allotted to a commission. I know there is at least one commission that has compensation, but a budget in and of itself, I could not find that. And please, staff, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But as far as my knowledge,
okay,
I don't think that's normal or a norm.
Miss Patty, you're still muted.
So, yeah, yes, as Sean mentioned, traditionally the commissions don't have a specific budget, but obviously anytime a commission has asked for something, we usually absorb it through the city council budget, or we figure out, like, for example, another commission that I worked with years ago, they actually ended up getting a lot of sponsorship for the projects that they worked on. So there's other resources and ways to do things. We did a program called Unite, which was a neighborhood, kind of a neighborhood program, and all the funds that helped to provide for that program were all sponsored. So obviously that's things you have you can definitely ask the council for, as long as there's some detail in terms of what you're looking for and what it's going to be utilized for.
Thank you for that. And that was kind of my understanding too, that if we came up with items that needed money, we could, funnel those up or push those up to the city council for an answer back. So, okay. Thank you. And that's what this is, Chairman, correct? That there's something that we want to do, and we're requesting an amount of money to do that certain thing, correct?
Yes, I didn't even know about the sponsorships, Patty. Thank you for that. That could be. Was it different businesses that were sponsoring, or were there organizations that were sponsoring?
It was actually businesses. So the program was basically designed to help revitalize neighborhoods and do community projects. So we worked with groups such as Home Depot, Lowe's. I'm trying to think of other organizations, Target, Walmart. They were all very, willing to participate and to be a part of it, because it's a community program, and it's and their staff were even able to participate in the program as well. So so that is an opportunity.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Is there any more? They're on the table. I'm sorry. Is there any more discussion on the budget, or whether or not we would have a budget? There's no action items on this either today, guys. This is just something that I thought it was prudent, since we were getting to that time, closer to the end zone, that we should talk about. Again, I appreciate all of the commissioners that are on the call right now, feeding into that conversation. I'll be honest, the commissioners that brought this to me are not on the call, and I won't say who. So this is why I wanted to have this conversation now. But what are you looking at? Anyway. Right, like this. He's the chairman. But yes, again, I think good things to think about moving forward. And I don't see anything right now other than what I talked about with the workshop that we would have. If there would be a program, I don't have a cost estimate for that, but I think that what I wanted to do was get direction from council first to go ahead and create that working group or that task force. We probably won't have to call it a task force because I don't want to have the city council to appoint them, but I want to get their direction because I feel like it gives us a little bit more push and a little bit more weight when we're going out and trying to get those stakeholders that have the expertise in housing and what it's like, what a landlord is looking for, right? And if we can come up with something that is a program that needs funding, then I believe that the city council will be all over that. So I don't think we have any more discussion on this item, but I will open the floor again after we see if there are any speakers for CB1. Please make your announcement, please.
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on CB1, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time. There are no speakers.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to be moving on to,
Chairman Cannon?
Business from the floor, no?
Actually, Chairman Cannon, we skipped over a presentation. Mr. Patterson is presenting from the AZ Black Educators.
Oh, wow, please, Mr. Patterson.
Good evening,
Is
Commissioners.
that Mr. Jeff Patterson from Antelope Valley High School?
The one and only, the one and only.
One and only. Good to hear from you.
Where's his picture? I'm trying to see him.
I'm on the phone, so I'm not
Oh,
quite visible.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, my apologies, but I had to try to get in the best way I could.
Yeah, I know.
And-
I know how that is.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to speak briefly on behalf of education organization known as ASBE, the Alliance of Black School Educators. We are a group of educators within the Antelope Valley Union High School District with a couple of affiliations in the Lancaster School District from the middle school perspective. And we were formed about a year and a half, a couple of years ago, just prior to the pandemic and the distance learning situation. To just kind of take another closer look at inequities and disparities on the campuses of each of the high schools in the high school district, and try to come up with a grassroots effort to try to affect some sort of change as best we could within the structure that we have. There's about close to 40 members, I would say, give or take, like I said, for various school sites and situations within the district. There's a couple of things that we have done in terms of things that we have been able to kind of push through. I'll just briefly run through a few of those. One of the things that we've been able to do is expand curriculum courses, course choices at each of the high school sites. We worked with some of the school board members and district personnel, including Superintendent Vieira, prior to his retirement, to where we now have ethnic studies, African American history, and a course called Ethnic Cultures, which is a 12th grade elective that is considered a A through G multicultural English class, right? So it's not an African American lit class as such, but it's multicultural, where various types of cultural authors and works are discussed and studied. So that is a big step in the right direction, where at least these course offerings are made available to students at all of the school sites in the district. Prior to that, there were only a selected few schools, Antelope Valley, East Side, among a few that had these course selections, but they're now at least offered at every high school site. Some of them are not being taught as such. We don't have teachers or the necessary interest, as it were, but at least it is on the course selection sheet, which is a step in the right direction. Another initiative that we've been able to push that I've spearheaded was the creation of a Black Student Union Leadership Council, where we've identified mentors and advisors at each of the comprehensive sites and several of our alternative sites, including RX Paris and Desert Winds, to where there's an active Black Student Union club on each of the campuses of the high schools. We've affiliated each of the high schools with the United Black Student Unions of California, which is a state organization that organizes all of the Black Student Union clubs from around the state. And so we had a leadership summit August 6th, right before school started, where 5 of the 9 high schools sent student leaders and advisors to Antelope Valley High School to do a one-day leadership training. And we hope that becomes an annual event just prior to the school year starting. Within this leadership council, we were directed by the district to write a proposal of activities and things that we would like to see done on a district-wide level, which we did. They have allotted about close to $50,000 to take students on cultural experiences such as the Black College Expo. The students will be attending a UCLA football game in November. And there's even money set aside to take students on a Black College tour in the summertime. A couple other things real quick. The ASBE was instrumental, I would say, in helping create and the creation of the Director of Equity position at the district level for the Antelope Valley High School District. We work very closely with school board members and district personnel to kind of craft the job description which ultimately led to the hiring of Dr. Catherine Taylor as the district's first director of equity. That happened prior to the start of the school year this year. Dr. Taylor has worked very closely with the BSU Leadership Council in terms of making sure that our proposal to the district was approved, decent and in order, as they say, and making sure that our the things that the activities that we want to do were in line with LCAP and district goals in terms of equity, addressing disparities of African American students. And so that has been something that we take great pride in. And finally, Antelope Valley has also spearheaded the creation of a site equity team that we started last year upon our return to on campus. We started it virtually, and then we were able to have some in-person meetings right before school ended as we transitioned back on the campus during the first quarter. We hope that this is a model for other sites to kind of follow and pattern themselves after. And again, work closely with Dr. Taylor's office as Director of Equity so that site-based disparities, like some of the things that happened at Lancaster High with the sheriffs, can be addressed in a way that the students as well as the community feel like that they have a voice or a say in a structured way with the site administration and the district personnel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson, and I will open it up for questions that anybody has. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you so much, you and your colleagues, for what you're doing in these schools for our youth, especially our Black youth. Mr. Patterson taught my sister, guys, when she was at AV, and she had great things to say about it. I'm telling you, you guys, the people that are in our schools that are interacting with these people, with these young people every single day, are doing us a service, and we should be listening to them more often. And so in that spirit, Mr. Patterson, I would love to set up a meeting with you and maybe two other commissioners outside of this with yourself and the Director of Equity over at the district, and we could talk about how we could help collaborate and help you guys, give you guys some support in doing what you're doing. So I do hope that we can reach out to you and see what your availability is like, and we can hop on a meeting just like this, and we can hash that out. But yes, I'll open up the floor for questions.
Thank you, Chairman Cannon. I also want to say, again, thank you, Mr. Patterson, for coming on and representing your entity. And again, a big congratulations for being instrumental in hiring Dr. Taylor for this important work in the district. Because again, she is doing the role that we're doing for the city of Lancaster for all of Antelope Valley, which is from Little Rock up to, Kern County. So thank you for that. Mr. Patterson, you mentioned that you guys did a proposal, and in that proposal, were there any things that you guys didn't get addressed that you feel like would be on a wish list for a future proposal, or that you would love to have seen happen?
Well, yeah, actually there were a couple. Our original proposal that we sent in, once you kind of totaled it all out, was about $150,000, and they kind of knocked that down to about $50,000, which I kind of expected. But sometimes you ask for the moon, and then you see what kind of pieces of the stars you get. One of the things that we hope to get, that we think this could still happen through the use of sponsorships, as it was kind of mentioned, as opposed to a direct budget line item situation, will be the concept of a Black graduation, right? To have a separate ceremony for the young people, and with the use of the kente cloths and some of the rituals and some of the things that we can kind of do to really celebrate the Black graduates of the district, that will be on par with the regular graduation, but yet and still highlight culturally the academic achievements of these young people. So that was not put in the budget. The original proposal didn't quite make that, But again, we're looking at other ways that we can start kind of get this through the use of facilities, through certain church organization or community organizations, and donations in terms of decorations, food sponsorships, so on and so forth. To kind of make that happen, we're gonna do something. We just don't quite know what that is, but we look to hopefully formalize that next year. And the other one would be
Mr. Patterson.
Yes.
Before you go on to the next one, I would definitely say again, it's a very noble thing to do. I would caution to maybe think about messaging, because when you're making a proposal like that, you got to start with the why. And if the why is not there, then we start getting the question of, well, why do we need a Black graduation if we don't have a Hispanic graduation, if we don't have an Asian graduation? And I think you already said the why, but it wasn't apparent, which is in a graduation, they don't allow students to deviate from the garments that are, district approved. So looking at it through that lens, making sure when you're making your proposal, start there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. And what was the next one, brother?
The next one was a district-wide gospel concert. This was one of the proposals or ideas that was brought to the table by Dr. John Crocker, who's one of the music teachers who's currently out at Highland High. There's been collaboration with the city of Lancaster and several of the music programs during Just a Sunday in the Black History program. And so they're looking to try to expand that concept to do a musical or concert, as it were, that kind of celebrates African American or different types of musical genres that have African American root, so to speak. And so again, these were just ideas, we kind of generated ideas to put them in a proposal. Some things are going to take a little bit more time to kind of maybe work through, like you said, with the messaging or whatever. But it's something that we wanted to put at least in paper or on paper in the proposals, that if everything can be done at once, but there's some short-term goals that we want to kind of see done, and then some long-term goals that we can kind of work towards as we grow as a district entity.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you, brother. I'm going to step up and step back and allow other commissioners to ask questions.
Floor is open.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so this is Vice Chair Carter. I am really interested in this team, this program, this organization, the work that you're doing, Mr. Patterson. And I'm actually was trying to make sure that I caught the exact name of the organization, and I didn't. I wanted to type it in, so I'm sorry to have to ask you to state it.
No, don't worry.
Here.
Alliance of Black School Educators, ASBE, ABSE, Alliance of Black School Educators.
Okay, and real quick, are you taking your programs into all of the schools here in the Antelope Valley, or just a select few schools right now?
No. When you say programs, I need a little bit more clarification. The ASBE group is open to any educator in any high school in the district, right? Like I said, we've also had affiliations with teachers or educators in the Lancaster and Palmdale school districts, right? And so we're looking to broaden our network. For instance, one of the things that I focus on within the ASBE group, the Black Student Union organization, the club formation. One of the things we're doing is also forming alliances with the Lancaster district specifically, and Palmdale to a lesser extent, to build out the concept of a junior BSU, right? To take the BSU concept to the middle schools and get them kind of at least on board. So as they transition to any high school in the district, they're ready to join the high school BSU club because they've been exposed at the middle school level with some peer mentoring from that neighborhood high school. So Antelope Valley works very closely or is looking to work very closely with Paiute Middle School because that's one of our speeder middle schools, right? East Side will work very closely with New Vista schools, like, to build these partnerships. But as for in terms of who can join, if you're an educator or even a community member or parent, they're able to join, but it's really educator focused.
Okay. Sounds really good. And I'm sure you guys have a website, right, and so forth.
Well, not yet. Just like I said, we say grassroots. We kind of like the seedlings in the dirt grassroots.
Yeah, I understand that. But
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But what I will say that we meet the second Thursdays of the month, and so I will extend an invitation to all of you to come join sit in one of our meetings, kind of introduce yourselves and kind of to let them know that the word is getting out, all right? And so we're in the process of really kind of decide how formal of an organization do we want to be? Do we actually want to do a website and have roles in terms of officers? I hear you guys talking about budgets, or we're talking about collecting dues, or so there's a lot of things that we as an organization are kind of really considering, because as we grow, we're getting to that point where we're gonna have to make a decision about that. And so while grassroots is cool and and all that's fine, there's family obligations and we still got real jobs during the day, and transitioning back on campus to teaching these young people is a struggle in and of itself. So how much of the steak do you really want to bite off?
Mr. Patterson, you mentioned second Thursday at and where. So what time and where?
It is a Google Meet.
Okay.
That Mr. Barron Gardner, who is our de facto chairperson, could definitely get you guys on the list to have him when he sends out the invites to include you guys. We normally do a 3:30 to 4:30. Sometimes we push those back to maybe a 4 o'clock start. So it's usually either between 3:30 and 4. Given trainings and the will of the group on that particular Thursday as things come up.
Okay, thank you. If you send that to me, I will send it to the staff to send to the rest of the commission. I'm sorry, Vice Chair. The floor is still yours.
Thank you. Vice Chair, did you have anything else before we go to Commissioner Polk?
No, I just don't forget to send it to me, Dr. Deloche. I'd love to attend one of those meetings if we're okay to do so. I'd love to attend as many of those meetings as possible. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was just going to keep this extremely brief, but I wanted to say, just very briefly, that it was so great to hear from you again, Mr. Patterson, and all of the work that you've been doing. This is quite great. I was able to meet with some of those students back in, I believe, August.
Oh yeah, you were at the yes, sir.
Yes, and it was an incredibly rewarding experience, and I'm just so happy that even though now I am a graduated student from the district, that these programs will start to be rolling out to students district-wide. I think that this is truly an amazing chance to give a lot of these students such a brighter future. So I just want to commend you so much for the work that you're doing on that front. And yes, as Mr. Deloche has previously mentioned, Commissioner Deloche has previously mentioned, I would love to attend those meetings as well. So as soon as you have a vision in place, we would love to be able to support it, or at least speaking for myself, I would love to be able to as well.
No worries. You guys, the more the merrier. And so as the word gets out and we continue to kind of grow, you guys would definitely be instrumental in helping bring some light and some credibility to some of our educator colleagues that may be kind of sitting on the fence, but they're starting to see that we're actually making some real waves and some real differences. And so sometimes people need is just a reason to believe. And so now we're starting to see that. And so I definitely think that there's some good days ahead.
Okay.
Agreed. Thank you so much.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So I was just thinking, I'm so excited that Mr. Patterson has lit a fire in the commission, and I'm excited. Now I'm just making sure that we're going to be covered. No more than 3 of us can attend. Is that correct, Chairman?
So I'm gonna go to staff because I know that it's different if we're in a group talking about commission business, but if we're all guests to another meeting, Patty, is that good?
Yeah, we'll get some clarification because I want to make sure that we're clear too. I think there's a difference between a meeting where you're just, participating in a program versus a meeting where you're discussing commission business. But we'll get some clarification and we'll share it with everyone to make sure that we're all squared away.
Thank you. And Patty and I have also talked about getting clarification on. I still would like for all of the commissioners to, I'll say that in the comments. First and foremost, thank you again, Mr. Patterson. Please, we are looking forward to those meetings. So once you get that to Christopher Deloche, he'll get that to us. And again, it's good to hear from you. I'll let my sister know I talked to you.
Absolutely. Hope everything's going well for her.
Yes, sir. We hope everything's going well too.
Chairman, one more thing. I have some after action items for Mr. Patterson.
Okay.
So, Mr. Patterson, do you have anything to write with? Close?
I do.
Okay, so what I would, again, thank you for your work. I'm excited to be a part of this entity because, again, this district stretches from the bottom to the top of the AB. So I would love to invite you back in the next couple of months with maybe more members of your caucus. And because, again, Vice Chair Carter did say, we can't see you. We can't see anything. And we didn't put up the notes that you sent me because I didn't want to steal your thunder. So that said, I would love to invite you back with more of your counterparts and to bring maybe a slideshow because I know you're the king of pictures. Again, he is a king of pictures and he was my right hand and then I was his right hand. And so I know you have that. Another thing I would love for you to touch on is, other barriers that you may have encountered that may be there. I would also like for you to connect us to other counterparts in other nationalities. Are there Hispanic groups doing the same work? Is there an Asian group doing the same work? So how can you connect us to some of their work to highlight some of that? The next one, again, maybe talk to us about how you're identifying needs. Maybe if you have any survey data. Mm-hmm. We already talked about your wish list. Thank you for telling us about your proposal wish list, and also ask you, would you be interested if we were to start a subcommittee in education? Would you and some of your counterparts be willing to be a part of that subcommittee?
Everything's under advisement. I never say yes and no. Maybe say I got to pray about it, talk to the wife about it, but nothing's off the table.
That'll work. So I'm asking you to consider it. And that is it. So again, let me know when you would be able to kind of put these things together, and we will definitely love to invite you back to hear about your progress and to see these things.
I think I should definitely have something ready to go by your next meeting. I guess you guys meet monthly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so about this time, September, our fearless leader, Mr. Baron Gardner, would have been here to lend some assistance with speaking about it, but tonight is his Mrs. birthday, and so he had to go do what he needs to do to stay happily married. And so I told him I'll pull the chain tonight, and then he can circle back on the next one.
Good work. Well, again, thank you for standing in the gap for Mr. Gardner. Tell Mr. Gardner we said hello, and tell the rest of the committee that we are impressed by the work that you're doing.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Chairman Cannon, I actually have an update on the question on whether the commissioners can participate. if this is a good time to share. So the quorum rule still stands when you're at a meeting, if you were to participate. But the good thing is that you can rotate, right? So you can have different people that go to different meetings so that everybody has an opportunity to participate, but that way we're not violating or, we're not surpassing the Brown Act and the rules that we have to follow. So we can coordinate that in terms of who wants to go to which meetings, just to make sure that we're all squared away and so that everyone has an opportunity to participate.
Love it.
Chairman Cannon, are you still on? I think he.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he dropped because he froze and now I don't see him.
He may have dropped.
Okay, so in his absence, Vice Chair, do we move to the next item?
Yeah, we would.
So shall I make a motion? Is that what I need to do to move to the next item?
Katie, what should we have the Vice Chair move?
We can move to
Move on
public.
to.
We can move to public business from the floor.
Okay.
So at this time is the time to address the Lancaster Social Equity Commission on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers, and for anyone participating telephonically and wishing to comment on non-agendized items, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your call-in number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. State law prohibits the commission from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Please press star 9 at this time. There are no speaker cards and there are no callers.
City Clerk, what is the next item for Vice Chair Carter to move on to?
We can move to commissioner comments.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move to commissioner comments.
Second?
Okay, you've actually, you do not need to make a motion or a second, but you guys are good to go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have no comments. Okay. Well, the next, I believe the next item is adjournment. Is that correct?
Well, actually, we didn't give much time for commissioner comments.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Deloche. Keep me straight, okay?
No problem. No problem. So I guess this is where we ask if does anyone have any comments before we leave?
Yes, just very briefly.
Okay.
So when we discussed the idea of our budget earlier, I think it would be a really good idea for all of us to really just look back to like this commission and like its founding, and really like try to see exactly what initiatives we would like to start or what have you using that budget. So by the next commission meeting, we do have an idea of the general direction of where we want to go. So basically what I'm saying is I think it would be a good idea over the next month to really think about like what we want our priorities to be, especially for next year as we move into 2022. So that way, when we continue like this discussion at our next commission meeting, we have, I think, a greater idea of where we stand. I think that would be incredibly beneficial to us so that we know exactly kind of like what we want and what our priorities are. So we know exactly how, if we wanted to move forward with the budget, how exactly the budget could reflect those priorities. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that was it. I know that was very brief, but I really just think that we do need to give this a lot of consideration.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree, Giovanni. So it seems to me, and I'm just going to say, we need to do a look back, basically, of our priority map, really formally, if we have not, and I don't believe we have, really formally document our priorities. I know that it was something we really talked about, but I know I have not actually seen or really created a formal documentation of those priorities. I know we had vision statement, we have a formal mission statement, but a real like mapping of those priorities, I have not. We need that, and question is that something we as the commissioners can work on, or can we do it in like a working session, or is that something we would have to assign to a task force, or would we possibly each map it out and bring it to the floor? I don't know, but I think the way I'm envisioning it, and I have envisioned it, but I'm not, as well versed on the whole Brown Act or the way that we can come together and meet, but I had envisioned a real like working session where we literally were charting and mapping out our priorities and our strategies, our strategic planning basically, and even putting in place, programs and projects underneath each of those. That's what I have been envisioning the entire time, but I'm not sure how, what is the rule on us as, a group getting together and having that type of working session?
I see no.
Uh-oh.
Wi-Fi. So
you keep going into the matrix.
I mean, hey, am I slow? Am I breaking up?
You're good now.
Can y'all hear me?
You're good now. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, I envisioned it that way as well. I think it'd be easier to do a working session where it's a public meeting. I have no business doing that in light of day. But it would have to be in person. It'd be easier if everyone's in person. And it seems as if though the city council is directing, is moving in a direction where public meetings, we will probably stop declaring an emergency. And that's just something that, the city council is going to have to decide. But if the city council is going to allow us to come together as a commission in the chambers, I would say that the next meeting would be the meeting where we do that. I have a document that I thought I sent to everyone, but I see that I did not. That is basically the equity report so far. Like what we've been talking about when I had everybody do their one page, it's that as well. But it has to be specific and it has to be worded better than what it is right now. And that's something that that's in the timeline. So in the next couple of months between now and December, we will be finalizing it. And so I have no problem in the next meeting that we come together in person and we use what we have and we say, okay, this is what needs to be added. This is what needs to be taken away. This needs to be worded this way. But at least we have a format. We have a working format and we know we're going to talk about the hybrid law enforcement. We know we're going to talk about the job fair. We know that there are certain public safety aspects that need to be hit on. We know we're going to talk about and make formal recommendations. But that's why in this meeting I wanted to talk about the budget, so that if moving forward, it'd be better coming into November. If somebody's going to be like, hey, I think we should have a budget, then there's time for whichever that somebody could be. But I have no problem with the next commission meeting being a working meeting. And we tried to do a working meeting online. I remember we tried to do that, guys. It was it wasn't that good. But I think that if we come in together in person with the format and a starting line, not a starting line, but this is where we're at. This is what we already have. This is how it needs to be changed. Then we could do that. I think it's important that we do that. And then that way by December, we have something we can vote on. And by January or February, we have something that we can present to the city council. But I do believe, go ahead. No, go ahead.
We have, I know we had the meeting the meeting month before last. And we were in the chambers and we read some of the one pagers, right? And we have that compiled somewhere.
Yes, it's in. Yes, it's been emailed to us, but the only thing is that not everyone submitted a one page, and for those that it's okay, for those that did submit the one page, it wasn't necessarily. It needs to be polished so that it's turned into an actual recommendation. Like it can't, it was a little bit tangent. So that's what we've been trying to figure that out too. So that needs to happen, but in order for that to happen, we need those commissioners to be here, so we're not just trying to put words in their mouth and trying to say what we think they're trying to say. So and that's why I'm hoping that next month we could all come together and do that. And I did have to log off for a minute. So are we in comments part of the agenda? I don't know who.
We're in the commissioner comments. Yeah.
Okay. Whose comment are we on right now? Vice Chair?
It was
we had kind of, we finished those. Dr. Deloche had to give me a hand because, he's got.
Were you chairing the meeting, Vice Chair? You did?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm not as, you guys are more expert at that, moving the meeting, and I'm going to just, I get stuck in that corporate thing, and I might, not do it right. So I try to, lay back. I don't want to be out of line. I want to stay decent and in order. So I had to hand the ball to Dr. Deloche, and he did a great job. So if you need some follow-up information, he's the man to talk to.
No, you did a great job.
Keep it real. Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you. I was just tapping into you, but
We are all together, you guys. We are all in the same.
I'm just telling. I'm just keeping it real. But I would love to because I know I'm one that I have these grand thoughts on paper, but as far as like sending it, I've not done that part as well. But I would love to just read over it and the compiled list. I still want to add mine to it if it's okay, and just try to see even if I can get a feel to start thinking about how we can planning for the planning meeting so that when we come in we're all ready to go and to move forward and have some outcomes so for me I would love to look at that compiled document, or if there's more than one, I would like to take it and put it into one, just so that's my way of just studying, and he's gone again, in preparation for the planning meeting, the working session.
Yeah, I think Chairman Cannon has been encouraging that every meeting. So what what we're able to do is at every meeting, the commissioners, whether it's one or two, if they've put together, ideas, suggestions, thoughts, to basically share those, right? And every time you can modify and you can change, and we have some discussion around it. That's the goal of this meeting, is to bring your ideas and suggestions and talk them through, and then create this compilation of all of these ideas into one document. I don't know if you was going to say that, but I think that's
So from my standpoint, I would love to see another commission's document. For me to I think we're all grappling with going from the abstract nothing to the concrete something, and not having a roadmap. Because even if we did have 7 one-pagers, what should the final document look like? How should goals be written? Should they be written as goals, or should they be written as needs? So I think that's the part. So I would love if the staff has another commission's, line items or things that they've done, so that we can have something to kind of look at. That would really help me out. And the second piece, I guess, is for the staff as well. Because again, I want to make sure I'm doing everything as Vice Chair says, decency and in order, and I never want to do anything unethical. However, I do understand it is hard, and the chair did say it's hard to do detailed work in a public setting. Would it be unethical to have a subcommittee that meets to work on the document that doesn't violate the Brown Act?
Yes, unfortunately, you can't meet as a group without it being a public meeting. That's the way the commissions are set up, right? It's a public. There's nothing that the commission discusses that shouldn't be, that the public cannot chime in on, listen to, provide suggestions, ideas. That's what commissions do. They basically serve, on the behalf of the council, and it's a public entity, and anybody can join in and participate. And I understand. We want to brainstorm, and we want to, come up with different ideas and suggestions. But we can do that as a group, and share and modify the document and do all that.
So yes, I'm good with that. So that said, we really can reach out when the chairman comes back to start that draft so that we can build around the draft, because like I say, we're in an abstract stage without a real albatross of where we're going and what this looks like. So I think we need to start the document, and as you said, if we're splashing the document up or we're adding things to it like a puzzle, that makes more sense. But right now we have, 5 one-pagers, if that, and then no real roadmap of what this document should look like.
And I'm with Dr. Oh, go ahead, Patty. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that Chairman Cannon had an emergency, so he apologizes for having to leave, but he had an emergency.
Okay. But I'm definitely with Dr. Deloche on that. I don't even think it would serve us, be in our best interest to do a working session at this point anyway, in a public forum. But, if that's the way things are done, I'm more than happy to, do it like that. But I don't think that would serve the commission. I don't think that would be in our best interest. Not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Polk, any thoughts?
I actually do not have any at the present moment. I do echo all of the sentiments that you two brought up earlier. Let's see, and I'm just really excited to start getting started really with this budget idea. So that is pretty much it from my perspective.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. If there's nothing else, Vice Chair Carter, you want to call a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn the meeting.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Deloche. Thank you, commission members. And at this time, I would like to call a motion to go ahead and adjourn today's meeting.
I second it.
You can actually adjourn the meeting. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 17th at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, thank you all, and this meeting is now adjourned. Everybody have a great evening.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you.